right, we're trying some new toys out tonight. So I'm trying to see, we're moving to a different system for the live stream. Hello, everybody that is watching on Instagram. You're not getting the full thing here. You're not getting the full experience. Sorry about that. But if you would like to, you can go check out the live stream on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, YouTube, all those places. You can find it anywhere, any social media platform at the Steve Freeman. So go check it out. Like I said, we're moving to, since we're going to start doing the live streams more, we're moving to a much different setup. A lot of people that do live stuff use like OBS and stuff like that. It's very unstable. It's unreliable. So we're actually moving to, which we won't have it tonight, but we're moving to a multicam setup. And to be able to do that, it required us to use different software and different stuff like that. So tonight's the guinea pig. And everybody watching, I can see everybody on Instagram. Hello. If you want the full experience, you want to see everything, really get involved, then go find the stream on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, one of those. A little bit better of an experience for you, maybe. I don't know. This is, honestly, I think I've done 2 Instagram lives in my entire time since I've had Instagram. So definitely glad to be able to add that and add the premium sound and everything for those of you that are watching on Instagram. Anyway, I threw this out earlier and just said, hey, you know, everything's crazy going on with the coronavirus and everything like that. You know, maybe it'd just be good. Everybody seems like they're kind of sticking in and not really doing much. So it's like, why not do a live stream? We're going to start doing this more regularly. I don't know that we're going to do it on Friday night. Probably not. But who knows? It is going to be a more regular thing. That I do know. So I'm pumped about that. Okay. Getting everything okay, look, good. Everything looks like it's on. So for those of you watching on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, if you guys want to type comments in the comments section below, I can read all those and hopefully get to them. I'm kind of opening a bunch of different windows right now so that I can see what everybody's saying, and then I can also use those to pop stuff up on the screen. I can pop your questions up on the screen. Like I said, this is the first time using this new software, so in all likelihood, will I screw this up in some major form or fashion? Probably. It will probably happen. Because I'm really good at stuff like that. Let me pick you guys, you Instagram people up here for a second and see what's going on. Let's see. Real Doman says, I'm Italian boy. Here is very difficult for us. We are in quarantine. Oh, man. God bless you guys over in Italy. We're not there yet, but we're getting close. So, hope all of you guys are staying safe. I picked this damn phone up. I'll never get it back the way that I had it. I'll never get it back. I need to get one of those things that holds the phone. There, that'll be good for now. Maybe. We'll see if that works. There we go. More than anything, we're just kind of giving everybody time to get in. It's kind of crazy what's going on. I will say I went out a little while ago to my local gun store, Royal Range here in Nashville. The coronavirus scare is not keeping anybody away from the gun store. Let me tell you that right now. There is no fear at the gun store. I was listening to some news I was on my way to Starbucks, really. If I'm being really truthfully honest with everybody, I was on my way to Starbucks. And I passed the gun store. It's a big fucking gun store here. Matter of fact, it used to be a movie theater. And when we had the huge, whatchamacallit, the flood back in 2010, 12, whenever it was, the movie theater moved out and they bought it, and they all of the former movie theaters are now shooting ranges, and they've got a huge gun store at the front of it. It's Disney World for gun enthusiasts, which I am. So everyone, I hadn't been in there a while, so I thought I'd stop on my way to Starbucks. Packed. There were as many people in there looking at guns and buying ammo and buying guns than there are people at Kroger, Publix, and Costco trying to buy toilet paper, if not more. My initial thought was people were stopping at the gun store before they went to try to buy toilet paper. It's the way that it is. Not forgotten everybody on Instagram. Hello. I keep looking up here because that's where the other camera is. So I'm not ignoring those of you on Facebook or on Instagram. Let me see where I need to find that so I can see y'all's comments and stuff. Oh, there we are. Okay. Haley, my cousin Haley from Arkansas. Do you ever sing on here? I miss you singing. No, I do not sing. I have officially, I mean, I guess I could sometime. I have officially just about like put those days behind me. I let other people sing my songs now. I make a lot more money when they do it. And I don't embarrass myself as much. So everybody wins. Okay, so I have those up. So now I can see them, which is good. And it is really going to take some getting used to this new software. It really is. But that's okay. I will get the hang of it at some point. Let's see. Yeah, well, if, like I said, any questions you guys want to talk about, whatever, just put in the comment section of where you're listening. If you're on Instagram down there, then you can, I see Jay Fleming. He's watching on Instagram. I see all of you guys down there. Then you can type something there. My phone is really far away, so if I might not can read it. So we'll maybe go there. Let's see. But anyway, I just thought maybe, he'd be in Friday night. Everybody, how's everybody else doing around the country? I mean, are you guys finding it difficult or things? It's been kind of a ghost town, except for, like I said, the grocery stores, all that's full. Gun store was full. The grocery stores, they're full. But we were even talking about here in our neighborhood. It seems like it just seems like it's a ghost town. And I don't know if that's because people aren't, moving around and getting out. People are just kind of staying at home like we are. We're supposed to be in Utah right now. Our flight left at 7 o'clock this morning. We were supposed to be in Salt Lake City. We're supposed to be there right now. But we made the decision a couple of days ago that because of what's going on, we just felt like that it was probably best if we didn't do that, if we didn't travel. It's not that we're paranoid, but the part that kind of freaked us out a little bit was not getting the virus. I'm not worried about getting the virus at all. What I was worried about was us getting to Utah and Delta or any of the other airlines stop flights, which they're already like going to a percentage rule. If it's not a certain percentage full, then they're not going to fly. I didn't want to get stuck in Utah. Not yet. A year from now, different story. Right today, I cannot afford to get stuck in Utah. But so it kind of messed up our spring break plans. We are not going to be able to go, which we're just going to push the trip back. I mean, even my kids' school, they're talking about preparing for distance education and, going to school online for the rest of the year. There's no telling what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting, to say the least, whatever happens. But so it is kind of at that point where it's messing with people. And like I said, with us, it's really messing with our ability to have a good spring break, and I'm sure everybody else. All right, I can start to see people. Oh, look at Podcastage. My buddy, Bandrew, with the super chat. Thanks for all the great info. Keep it up. Thank you so much, man. He is watching on YouTube. Kevin Brown's there. He says, hey, bro, Ismail, the panic is out of control and ruin all business. It is. The economy is going to take, it's taking a bath right now, and it's going to continue to. Podcast says, what's your Starbucks drink? And yes, I'm going to use this information to judge you. My Starbucks drink right here for those of you at home. Will that, come on, refocus. $2,000 camera, $3,000 lens. You would think it could do that. That right there. And this is a story. Now I want you guys to pay attention. We're talking about health and how to be healthier. Okay. I want to tell you guys something. This is a venti caramel frappuccino with 2% milk and no whipped cream. Now, you may think that's an awful feminine drink there, Steve. And it might be. For 8+ years, listen closely, guys. In my old age, I'm learning stuff. I'm learning things I didn't know. For 8+ years, solid, my drink at Starbucks was a venti mocha frappuccino with 2% milk and no whipped cream. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? If you take the boy, this is great content for a live stream. Okay, we're going to go down this big podcast. It's damn you, the $10. I'm going to do it. The reason I don't put whipped cream, and I do with 2% milk, when you do that, you take a drink that's about 450 calories down to about 200 to 225 calories. When you take the whipped cream off and you give it 2% milk instead of whole milk. However, those of you that have followed me for a while, you know that I have horrible allergy problems. And for about the last 4 or 5 years, particularly, like there are days I wake up, I can't breathe. And I couldn't figure out what in the world was going on. About a month ago, we went to Costco, and Costco has these. Those of you that have Costco and are members of Costco, you know how good they are. They make these big muffins, right? They have blueberry, and then they have like double chocolate. They are amazing. They are fucking amazing. I like the blueberry. I don't ever eat a lot of chocolate, but I love the blueberry ones. So we get home, and all the blueberry ones are gone after like 4 or 5 days. The only thing left are chocolate. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to eat one of these. So I ate one, and it immediately, my mouth was on fire burning. Like, seriously, I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here? And so I told my wife, I said, my mouth is like burning really bad while eating this thing. She goes, you know, that means you're allergic to it. And I'm like, well, I know I've heard that, right? And she goes, no, seriously, if it's burning you that bad, then you're allergic to it. Okay, not long after I ate it, I started getting stopped up. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was getting sick. And I'm like, okay, what in the world is going on here? So I'm allergic to that, to chocolate. I thought I was allergic to chocolate. And then I started thinking, wait a minute. You feel like crap 99% of the time. Like you don't feel good hardly ever. And then I went a little bit deeper. I thought, okay, every morning I dropped the girls off at school. Every morning for the last 8 years, I have a mocha frappuccino. And then again at 2:30 before I go pick the girls up from school, I get another one. And then my brain's like, wait just a second. Your body, you are constantly having some sort of that mocha, the chocolate sauce in it, the mocha syrup, all of it has chocolate in it. And then I realized that very rarely do I not ever have some form of chocolate because of that mocha frappuccino running in my system and in my bloodstream. And then I was like, wait a minute, I feel horrible all the time. Maybe I'm allergic to chocolate. So I quit drinking the mocha frappuccinos and went to caramel. And all of the problems went away. Now, I still deal and battle with allergies, and I always have, chocolate or no chocolate. But it was getting to a point where I was feeling sick all the time, and I couldn't breathe. Literally, my nose and my sinuses would get so swollen and so stopped up, I couldn't breathe out of my nose at all. That's all stopped. A lot of headaches that I was having. I was averaging taking 6 Excedrin migraines a day, or 6 or 7 even ibuprofen a day. My headaches got cut by a third. Like I almost quit having headaches at all. Like days, I'll still get them like on days when I'm looking at the screen and focusing on the screen all day, which is most of my days. But my headaches have severely gone away. So I switched to the caramel frappuccino. That is a long answer to a very short question. Sorry about that. But anyway, just everything that we're going through, right now, everybody is kind of spotlighted and looking at their health. And it's like, what can you do to be healthier and to feel healthier? And I'm telling you, something small that I took for granted, and realizing that at 43 years old, you do develop allergies to things that you have never and haven't always been allergic to. And chocolate for me was one of them. And so what can I say? I had to go to caramel. Podcasters, Bandrew. I had to go to caramel. Samantha Johnson, thank you for the super chat, 99 cents. Y'all don't have to do the super chats. I don't want y'all's money. I mean, you can send it. Shit, I'll take it. but I don't need it. You guys don't do that. I appreciate it, though. I've been stocking up for about a month, a little bit whenever I go shopping, now that I'm realizing one huge error I made. I didn't buy any emergency frozen pizzas. I bet they're all gone now. I bet they are, and I bet I bought them. We've been making Publix orders online and having them delivered to the house. Again, I'm not scared of getting the virus. I'm just trying to do my part of not being out and being around so many people when I don't have to be. I have no reason to be, and they delivered it for free. So like the other day, I will admit I went through a little paranoid thing the other day, and I got on Publix and I ordered like 5 cases of water, 6 things of toilet paper. My thing is, I'm not one of these people that's paranoid, so I run out and buy all this shit. My thing is more, I want to have it so that if I need it, I have it. I'm not trying to buy up because I'm scared to death I'm going to get the virus or the quarantine. My thing is simply, I need to have those things because there's all these other idiots out there that are going up and, acting like we're going to be living in The Walking Dead in a couple of weeks. So I kind of get the paranoia to a certain extent. But on the other hand, it's kind of like, if you don't, you're going to be stuck without toilet paper. And that's what everybody keeps talking about is, why is everybody out of toilet paper? And it's like, well, it's not anything that the virus causes itself. It has more to do with like everybody buying it and not having any. Not so much worried about that. But you gotta have it. You gotta have it. So I'm going to try to get to all of you guys' comments. This new system is very confusing. I'm getting a handle on it, though. Let's see. Philip David Harris on Facebook says, plan at a fundraiser for the tornado relief on the 26th at the publishing company. I'm hoping the COVID-19 mess is died down. I hope so, too. When did you say it was? The 26th. I don't know about that. I know my daughter's really bummed out because I don't know if it's the 26th, 21st or 26th, but she was going to the Billie Eilish concert, and she just announced that they're postponing the date. They're going to reschedule the date. So I know she was really frustrated about that and upset about that, but it's a good thing. AMG, Live Nation, they all came out yesterday and said, look, you guys probably should start postponing concerts, put off touring for a little bit. And I mean, I agree, again, not being paranoid, but the only way to really get this thing to go away is for people to stop getting in places together, stop congregating. I even heard on my way back to the house a little while ago that Joel Osteen is basically canceling church. I mean, you can watch his service online, but they're not getting together. And I think that's smart. You can call it paranoid if you want. The only way to get this thing to go away is for everybody to not be on top of each other, not be so together. The self-quarantine. I love the new term that they've come up with, and I swear I would pay this person because I think it was so brilliant. Whoever was sitting around in the room and came up with the term social distancing, I think it's awesome because that's going to be my new thing. No, I am not unapproachable. I am socially distant. That is my new. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to change all of my social media profiles, and that's going to be my bio. Currently socially distancing myself. It's not that I'm not unfriendly. I'm just socially distancing myself. I think that's got to be the thing to do. Luke M. Tech says, it is going good. Any damage from the storms? No. Luckily, Nashville's just getting hit left and right. We were supposed to have more last night, and we didn't have anything at all, which is great because we didn't need it. Luckily, no. We did not have any damage personally. I have some friends who lost their homes. I have a good friend, Jeffrey East, that I write with. He luckily didn't lose his house, but every house around him was gone. So he was very fortunate. My buddy, Jay Allen, his road manager, his house completely gone. So, we were not personally and directly affected. But I do know some people that unfortunately were directly affected, and I just hate that. I just hate that because it's just sad watching the devastation that is going on. Like I said earlier, we went through this with the flood. The one thing, as tired as I am of Nashville and as ready as I am to leave, and I've made no bones about this, as soon as my daughter graduates high school, the plan is to leave. I don't have to be here for my business anymore. I can fly here if I'm doing a record and have to be here. My goal is to build a huge facility in Utah, where I've got actually 2 recording studios, some ADR facilities, a filming facility, that myself and my buddy Jacob Young are working on, along with some other actors, directors, and producers. BJ, a really cool guy there in Ogden, Utah. Shout out to Brewski's, which is probably where we would be right now, eating some of that amazing pizza with BJ and his French Bulldog Presley. That was our plan for today. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. But I really love that community there. I've really fallen in love with it. When I went out there and shot Jacob Young's music video last month, I just fell in love with it. It's peaceful, slower pace. So I've made no bones about the fact that I want out of Nashville. I don't have to be here anymore. I can produce records there. I can produce records here if I can fly here. So for me, it's all about moving on and doing something different. But what I will say about Nashville that I have been very pleased about being a part of this community for the last 15 plus years is they do come together. We do come together. We support each other. It has, we lived through the flood, and I remember us being without power for 4 days and everybody moving their grills, their gas grills out on the street and cooking all the food that we had. And anybody that wanted to come by and eat could come by and eat. We were sharing food. We were sharing shelter. When across the street from my house, normally when you live in a neighborhood, you're used to seeing cars go by, people riding bikes. For a week and a half, all we did was see boats go in front of our house. It was very strange. We were very fortunate where our house was kind of up on a hill. And so the water didn't get all the way up to us. But across the street, literally across the street, a guy had his boat over there, and it was 23. He was using his depth finder. It was 23 feet deep. People's house, they lost everything. This community came together in a way that I've never witnessed. You don't ever really want to have to witness those things because it means that you're living in some sort of a tragedy, and that's horrible. You wouldn't wish that on anybody, even your enemies. But it really showed me what Nashville's capable of. And it truly, was amazing. So when things like this happen with the tornado, I don't worry about Nashville at all in the least. I know that Nashvillians take care of each other. You know, the hashtag Nashville Strong, it's a real thing. So I hate to see things like this happen. You hate to live through them. You hate to see other people that you know, that you love, that you work with, that are in your circle that are affected by those kind of things. But at the same time, it's almost like I'm glad, this sounds weird putting it this way, but I'm glad it happens in areas like this where people do seem to come together and they do support each other, and they help each other through. The timing of all this couldn't be horrible now that we had the tornadoes and now we've got, you know, the coronavirus thing happening, and it is a lot. But you know what? There are people all over the world that are dealing with a lot. So it's not just us. It's every community around the world. It's the guy on Instagram over in Italy. I mean, you talk about quarantine. I mean, we're sitting here, we're self-quarantining, you know, and it's like I've got every major streaming network. You know, I can go get pizza. I can have every Starbucks. I can have every modern convenience that I want. So our idea of quarantining ourselves is not anything like what other people are having to deal with. So I know that, and I feel very fortunate, you know, that we're in the situation that we are. I just hope everybody. I would love to see this thing. They keep talking about the curve. I just hope this thing doesn't hit that spike level, that we reach that point where they level that thing out. And I saw a graphic, a buddy of mine, Randy Adams, posted on LinkedIn earlier this morning of the curve and what happens when you actually institute this social distancing. How much it almost cuts it, the growth rate of a virus like this, of a pandemic, of a novel virus in particular, how it cuts the community spread of it by more than 50% when you do this social distancing. And, you know, you can get into the politics of all this, and you can like Trump, hate Trump. None of that really matters right now. And I get really upset when I get on social media and on Facebook and everywhere else, and I see all these people, it's all because of him. It's where he didn't do this, or he did this, or two. Guys, none of us would handle any situation like this perfect. It is a novel virus, which means it's never been seen before. There is no roadmap to know exactly how to deal with these things. And, you know, people complaining about the travel bans and complaining. People, and it wouldn't matter which president it was or who was in power. If Hillary were the president, right, they would all be taking these same steps. Everybody would be doing this. We've got to eliminate people congregating in large congregations. I mean, if we want this thing to go away, that's what we're going to have to do. Is it inconvenient? Is it frustrating? It absolutely is. But the health and well-being of our neighbors and friends and family are far more valuable than whether or not we get to take that trip to Europe, or whether or not we get to go here, or whatever. It is inconvenient. But the virus is fucking convenient. So it's ruining a lot. It's ruining a lot for a lot of people. And it's not, to me, it's not a political issue. I think the health, and I think when you get past everything else and it's about health and safety, it's not political. To me, it's not political anyway. I want to know that you're doing everything you can to get the tests out, to get people help that need help. I mean, you know something is serious when Tom Hanks gets it. I mean, seriously, it's the nicest guy. He's the nicest guy on the face of the planet, the most genuine, you know, and we were watching, it was like you look at it, no, not Tom Hanks. I could list 100 people that I would rather have the coronavirus than Tom Hanks. Probably 10,000 people I could name. But they seem to be doing well. So it's a huge inconvenience. And yes, there are people that are just fear mongers and that want to complain about something, and whether it's political or has anything to do with politics or not. Those people are around. They're always going to be around. They're assholes. I mean, on both sides. It doesn't matter. Democrat, Republic, Independent. I don't care who you are. There's assholes on every side. And, you know, we just kind of have to wait this thing out. We have to do what we know is best to do, and that is, you know, protect our friends, protect our family, stay away from everybody, let this thing die out. and we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be just fine. I'm not panicked about it at all, but I am taking preventative measures and steps to make sure that, as for me and my household, you know, we were talking about earlier not being able to go to Utah this week. It's like, who knows what's going on there? I know what's going on right here, and I can control what goes on in this environment. And I think if everybody does a little bit more of that, then the better off you're going to be. I did see somebody post something the other day I thought was interesting, and that is, how in the world are we really finding out how many people don't wash their hands regularly? I mean, that's sad. I mean, do most, I thought most people washed their hands like regularly. I'm not a germaphobe, but we have the hand sanitizer in every car we own. There's one on just about every table just because. I think we're going to learn a lot about hygiene in this whole thing. All right, let me see. I need to get to some more you guys' comments. Let's see. Yeah, there are a lot of people that are profiting off of this that shouldn't be selling. You know, getting on Amazon and seeing toilet paper go for, you know, $50 a roll, hand sanitizer refills for $400. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Luke says, Steve, the only thing that bothers me is they weren't prepared with the test. The test should have been stockpiled. No excuse for that. Well, I see what you're saying, Luke, but that is not creating those tests for that, for a novel virus. Now, if this were something we're used to seeing before, then absolutely you have to have those tests. But when you're dealing with a virus that nobody's ever seen before, you have no idea how to test for those things. It's not something that is just simply readily available and able to crank out and have mass produced. Unfortunately, what we don't want to admit is that when it comes to those test kits and things like that, a large majority of them, guess where they're made? They're made in China. They're not made here in the United States. Some are, but not enough to test millions of people that when they hear about a virus like this will inevitably rush to their Minute Clinic in Kroger or rush to the hospital. There's just not enough. It's almost like take the tornado, for example. It's like, you know, it's sunny and then all of a sudden a tornado comes out of nowhere and then going, why weren't you prepared? Well, because we had no idea. I think that's a lot of it. Luke says they had a few months to get them ready. The problem right now is we don't know how many people have the virus because of the lack of tests. I don't know that they had a few months because for the longest time, this looked like this was going to be a Chinese and South Korea problem. And when travel was banned from China, we thought we would eliminate there. Now, I'm saying that may be too much wishful thinking, but I'm also saying that we didn't know enough about the virus then to create a test for it to know if people had it. Because again, a lot, you know, we can talk about, oh, we're friends with these other countries and we do it. We don't share intelligence. And on a pandemics thing like that, unfortunately, they are almost looked at as state secrets. And countries do not share the amount of information that they should share with each other. I agree that as a blanket statement, we should have had tests. But I also can't blame the people responsible too much because how do they know what to test for? When we've not had a case in the United States and you've got a country that's not sharing or giving false information, how do you create the tests? So, you know, you can find blame in anything. You can look around and find blame. I'm more of one of these people that I'm not interested in necessarily finding the blame. I'm more interested in finding the solution. I think maybe that's more where I'm at the moment. Let's see. I've already done that. All right, let me see what I'll get to. Kevin Brown says the change in our economy will become better. I mean, the stocks today, when Trump did the address this afternoon, the stock market went up almost 2,000 points. And I think it ended up settling in. The Dow ended up last time I looked at it, it was 1,600 is what it was up while he was talking. So people just want to know that things are going to get better. Now, I will say, now is the time to buy stocks. If that's not, which it's not my thing either. Every time I have ever tried to capitalize on the stock market, I have lost money every single time. So if it's not your thing, now it should be the time that it should be your thing. Today, especially like oil stocks. There were some like USO that was down to like $6.54 a share. It will go back up to $20, $25 a share as soon as this thing starts leveling out. You could make some real money. But you got to have to know a little bit about what you're doing. Ismail Freitas says 2020 is bad. Yeah, matter of fact, the topic of the podcast coming up on next Tuesday is 2020 is canceled. There's just what was it? Was it 2000 and I want to say it was 2015 or 16. I think it was 2015. When it's like we lost like 200 and something celebrities like in the first 90 days. It was just horrible. And here we are in March, and 2020 has officially been canceled. That or there's some really good shit that's going to happen between now and December of this year. But it has not been good so far. I know 2019 was not good for a lot of people. It was a very indifferent year for me. It wasn't that it was great. It wasn't bad. But I remember going into it thinking, I would like 2020 to be better. So far, it has not. Want it to be. I think what we're going through right now with the coronavirus, I think is going to take up a large portion of 2020. I hear people saying it's going to take a month, 2 months, 3 months to really get this thing under control. That puts us basically April, May, June. Who knows what's going to happen. But I think, this is going to be the headline story of 2020 for sure. We've just never, we've never faced something like this in the time and age that we live in. Everybody keeps talking about like swine flu in 2010. What was it? 2010 or 2011? Right around in there, or H1N1, whatever it was. Even then, I don't think people stop and often realize and think about how far technologically we've come even in the last 10 years. With social media, with everything else. I think what we're going through, when I say we've never seen anything like this before, yes, we've seen pandemics and we've seen viral or novel viruses, but not in the age that we live in. Quite like this. So and again, this is not political, but that all combined and matched with misinformation. I'm going to say the term fake news. There's a lot, anybody, right now, I could cite statistics that are completely fake and they're out there. It doesn't matter that they're fake or they're phony or they're not real. I could just say something to say it, and many people would take it as fact, whether they knew it was or not. Even in 2010, we did not have that level. We didn't really have streaming or live, or we didn't have all of that back then. So when we face something like we're facing now with the coronavirus, it's a completely different thing when you match that with the expediency of technology that we currently have. So that's what I mean when I say, we've never seen anything like this before. Evan says, got to run, brother. Holler at me later. Will do, man. I will. Yeah, I will call you. I was going to call you on my way back from the gun store, but I got lost in my own head, which happens a lot. Luke says, Dr. Fauci said it might be worse than Italy here. Here's the top authority on infectious disease in the world. Yeah, I like the Dr. Fauci dude, but it's like Trump gets up there and says, let's not panic. And then Fauci gets up there and says some shit that just makes you want to panic. So those two guys need to get their stories straight. and they need to get their heads together. I think what Dr. Fauci is doing is, I think he's trying to do his due diligence by painting as broad of a picture as he can, because he also, again, because of the day and time that we live in, he also does not want people coming back to him and go, well, you said it wasn't going to be this bad, and you said this, and you said that. He is painting everything with such a broad brush right now that I think he's trying to cover the full spectrum. Oh, let me see. Hey, sorry about you guys down here. Hey, guys, hold on. I'm going to go Instagram for a second. I forgot about all you people watching on Instagram. Brandon says, when do you think it's going to transpire with the concert? Okay. When do you think it's going to transpire with the concert industry? In all honesty, sorry about forgetting about you guys on Instagram. But see, you're down here and I've got 5 screens up here. So sorry about that, guys. This is not a popular statement, but I'm going to tell you honestly, I think that all artists should call off their tours for the remainder of the summer. I think that we're going to know a lot more 30 days from now than we know right now. I think we're going to know a hell of a lot more in 60 days from now. And hopefully we're on the other side of this thing in 90. But until we reach that critical point where the tests are readily available, anybody that wants a test can get tested. I think when we're there, and I mean, we start, like China right now in South Korea are seeing the numbers flatten and start to go down. I think once we hit that point in the United States and we can see that curve going down, I think you give it another month. And that's when you fire back up. If I were running things, which I should be, in all honesty, I'd say, look, let's plan for the fall. Do Facebook Lives. Keep your. There are ways to keep your fans engaged, right? Do Facebook Lives, do live streams, set you and your band set up and do, even if you, like, I know it's not about money, but what I'm saying is if you're worried about losing monetization and things like that, and I'm talking major artists here, get your band set up a multicam stream, charge $5, $7, $10, whatever for people to get in and watch the live stream if you want to try to monetize it. Figure out how to do those sort of things until, this thing passes over, which I think is going to be August, September. I think that's when it's going to be over. I think it's probably going to be May, mid-May, end of May, before it's like, okay, we've got a handle on this thing. You can start traveling. Maybe not go stand in a group of 20,000 people just yet, but feel free to move about the cabin kind of a thing. I think they'll turn off the seatbelt signs and let us up and let us walk around a little bit somewhere around mid-May to late May. Now, listen, I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't know. I have no clue. But I think I know they're spending a shit ton of money. They're working around the clock. I know they're looking at what's going on in other countries and trying to figure out, where that's going down, like in China, and trying to figure out how we can get there quicker. And I know that they keep using that terminology of flattening the spike and turning it in more of a bend and leveling the spike out. I just think everybody right now, if not having this pie in the sky version, and really thinking about it and going, look, fall. That's probably when touring is going to be able to pick back up. The economy will, as long as we get this thing behind us, the economy is going to grow probably bigger than it's ever been before. Because what are you going to do when you haven't been going out and you haven't been doing things and you haven't been going to concert and you haven't been buying stuff? You're going to go out. You're going to buy. You're going to spend money. You're going to go to concerts. You're going to buy more Christmas presents. So I think the end of the year is probably a safe bet. Now that I know you guys are down there on Instagram, if you guys have questions, let me know. I'll do a better job of keeping a look and a watch with what's going on down there. Let me check. Anybody over here on YouTube? Where's everybody on Facebook? Normally, everybody's on Facebook. Oh, is it too early, I wonder? Have I gone too early? for the Facebook crowd? Possibly, maybe. Maybe not, though. Let's see. Rick Murphy says, I'm in, but first I'm going to go hunt down some more goods for my coronavirus prepper survival kit. Yeah, I had made the comment today to somebody. I'm not like a doomsday prepper. I'm not at that point. But when you start going through stuff like this, it is almost one of those things where it's like, okay, maybe I should have a stockpile of toilet paper and paper towels and, non-perishables and water and guns and bullets. And because I got to tell you, I'm, like I said, I'm not nuts, and I'm not calling anybody that does that nuts. I'm just saying, but all those people that you do point to, and all the preppers and stuff, it's like, well, they're sitting pretty right now. They're not at Costco standing in line 3 hours before they open so that they can have toilet paper. They've got enough toilet paper for 1,300 people in their basement. And some of that may be going a little too far, but maybe some of it's not. Maybe some of it's not going that far. Maybe there's a happy middle ground. But in all seriousness, it does, when things like this happen, it does make you look at things, and it does make you wonder just a little bit that maybe I'm not a prepper, but maybe I could do a better job of being more prepared. I mean, you don't have to go nuts. Although I fit the profile now with the Gladiator and and it's raised up and the big tires and stuff and the big LED lights on the front. Yeah, I need the AR-15 strapped to the back. I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse. I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse minus the toilet paper and hand sanitizer. So as soon as this is over, I probably will go buy some toilet paper and paper towels and hand sanitizer and put those things away. So it's not an issue if anything like this ever happens again. Because it will. It will. These things happen more than we want to admit. Rich says Israeli scientists believe they've discovered a coronavirus cure. Israel's Institute for Biological Research made significant breakthroughs in and is on the edge of announcing a vaccine. Awesome. I mean, that's what it's going to take. I mean, that's what we're going to have. Although, that brings up another whole thing. I'm not a big vaccination person. Now, I'm not crazy on the other end of that thing either, but it's like I don't go get the flu shot every year. I haven't had a flu shot, and I don't remember how long. And I'll tell you why I don't go get the flu shot. Every single person I know that goes and gets a flu shot gets the fucking flu. That's why I don't get the flu shot. I don't know why that is, but it is that way. The people that I know that don't go get the flu shot don't get the flu. Everybody that goes and gets the shot gets the flu. That's my personal experience, may not be your personal experience. But with something like this, it's a completely different story. I'm actually been looking into and doing some research on vaccinations and stuff because I want to do a podcast about the whole vaccination process and the ties to autism and some of the other things. That stuff really interests me. And I believe I said on a couple podcasts ago that I was really going to start ranging and going out beyond the music business with the podcast for a couple of different reasons. One of those main reasons is that music just doesn't really interest me anymore. I've lost complete passion for it. And I have so many other interests and things that I do for my business that kind of I enjoy more. So looking into different topics, that's one of the things that I want to talk about and really get into. We've had some friends that have been affected by that and have some pretty compelling arguments about all of that. And again, you deal with this problem now with the coronavirus, and they come out with a vaccine. I mean, I hate to be a pessimist here, But at the same time, you wonder, okay, well, you do, but then what problem is the vaccine going to cause? Because all of it causes something. It all causes, it's almost like cause and effect. Every action has an equal reaction. So if you're getting rid of that, what is it going to cause? And what's the benefits? You know, it's always one of those kind of things. But the sooner they can get a vaccine for something, especially for the elderly population, you know, I think it's really important. I've seen a lot of arguments on both sides of it. People are saying that no, that's bullshit, and you know, elderly people are you know, may be or may not be more susceptible to the coronavirus. And it's like, then where do you draw the line? Who's elderly? Is it 60? Is it 70, 75, 63? Tom Hanks is 63. Is he considered elderly? He also has type 2 diabetes, which is an underlying condition. So, you know, I don't think we can get too far ahead of ourselves. Which is hard not to do because everybody wants this thing to go away quickly. Jessica Sylvester is watching on Facebook. She says, watching. Hey, smiley face. Well, hey, back at you, Jessica. Thank you for watching. If you've got a question or anything like that, you want to ask, you got a comment you want to make, hey, I'm not right about everything. Now, I will tell you, I'm right 99% of the time. But I'm also not perfect. There's that 1% that leaves me vulnerable. I can say that with a straight face. I really can. Feel free to post your comment or your question, no matter where you're listening. As far as I know, we are live on Instagram down here. Hello, people on Instagram land. Let's see, we've got another comment. Heather says, my husband just agreed he doesn't get the flu shot. That's because he's smart, Heather. He's smart. It's the way that I'm telling you. Everybody I know that gets the flu shot gets the flu. I mean, I know that all those shots, the vaccines and everything, they have a little bit, it's to build your immune system up. So yes, when you go get a flu shot, it contains the flu. They are injecting you with the flu. But it's supposed to be a little dose to get your body's natural immune system and antibodies to fight it off. Doesn't always work. I don't know. And I don't know about it. There again, God dang, I'm going to sound like it's fucking hot in here. I can tell you that. It's all these lights. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to say this. I always get a little leery. Just a little. When about 2 months ago, here in Nashville, number one, there's a CVS or Walgreens on every corner. You would think it was a religion. You'd think it's church. There's a CVS and Walgreens on every single corner in this city. One or the other, and often both, across the street from each other. About 2 months ago, driving around, we started seeing all the signs on the Walgreens billboards and all those, flu shots for free. We are come get the flu shot for free. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if the government gets to a point where they want to give you a shot to cure you of something for free, it's got some other shit in it they want you to have. I don't care who you are and what you say. I get leery when it comes to that. It's like, no. Charge me $500 for that motherfucker. I want the one that doesn't have the fucking chip in it or whatever it is that you're going to be following me around for the rest of my life. Don't give me the free version because the free version comes with strings and I don't want those strings in my body. But I thought that was strange that all of a sudden, you know, now we're giving away the flu shot for free. Let's see if we got anybody else. Oh, yeah, we got something coming in from Facebook. Let's see what we got here. Joshua Barley says, how much money do you think someone makes for having a number one single these days? Joshua, if you're talking about record label, publisher, songwriter? Songwriter, let's take it. I'll just take it all. Let's go from a songwriter publishing standpoint. It also matters greatly if you're talking about country radio or pop radio. Pop radio, it's going to be 3, 4, 5 times what it is in country radio. Let's take country radio. You're probably looking at, and this is a wide range, but you're looking at anywhere between 450,000 to 750,000 total gross revenue that will go to the publishers, and then that gets split among how many ever songwriters there are, and then that gets split down even further between them and their, most of these songs now have 4 or 5 songwriters on them, 6 songwriters, 7 songwriters on some of them. Beyonce, that girl's got like 12 writers on every single one of her songs, and I don't care that it does make $1 million. Nobody's making any money. Let's say that, because this is a very real scenario. Let's say you've got a Beyonce record on the pop charts and it goes to number 1. There's 10 writers. It makes $1 million. That's $100,000 per individual, right? But then each one of those songwriters has a publishing deal. So then it gets split 50% again. I mean, you could get down to, you could literally be at the point where you are one of the writers of a number 1 hit on Billboard and you could make 50 grand, which is nothing. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not saying that $50,000 is not a lot of money, but in this business, it is not a lot of money. It's almost why did I even do it? So, I mean, if you're looking, you want to talk about country radio, probably, I mean, it used to be $1 million. If you had a number 1 record on the radio, on the Billboard media-based charts, it was $1 million or more. It also depends on a multi-week number 1. If something is a multi-week number 1, you're going to make more money than that. But typically, songs are not number 1 on the charts for more than 1 or 2 weeks at a time. Every once in a while, you'll get one that's 4, 5, 6 weeks. But like my buddy Reggie Ham, his song was number 1 on the Hot AC charts for 16 weeks when he wrote Time of My Life for David Cook. A 16-week number 1 record. That is hardly ever unheard of. Matter of fact, it's still, I forgot what song recently knocked it out, but it was the number 1, longest lasting number 1 record on the Hot AC charts for many years. What's typical label cut? Again, man, I hate to give you so many generals, but again, it matters what the deal is with the artist. If it's a major label, the artist isn't going to make anything. I mean, the artist has to monetize a number 1 record through booking shows. That's the only way for the artist. The artists don't make royalties unless now they are a songwriter if they're a writer on the song, or if they were in the room while the song was being written on their phone, on their computer, playing a video game. If they were in the room, and then they get an equal split with every other writer. So that revenue gets split, however. Now, for the label makes the money whenever those are sold. Streaming's a different story. The label owns the master. The artist doesn't own the master. So the labels are making great money off of streaming because they own the master. They issue master usage licenses to Spotify and these other places to use that material. The artist doesn't get that money. The songwriters and the publishers get a very, very, very small percentage of that. Like, I'm going to mess this up, but it's like 0.000000009 cents. You can't even break up a penny that far enough. Like, I've got songs with millions and millions and millions of streams, and I mean, I could take everybody to Taco Bell. Like, I could take 4 of you to Taco Bell with what I'll make off of that. But labels are in a position that if a song goes number 1, that means it's very popular. Well, it doesn't mean it's popular. What it does mean is that it's been pushed and bought its way to the top of the charts. And in that scenario, people go buy. People still buy downloads. People still, even if they stream it a lot, like I said, the record labels own the masters. And that's a completely different exchange of revenue than the exchange that is between Spotify and publishers and Spotify and songwriters. Very different. The music business is so different today, and it works so different. It's hard for me to give absolutes. It's hard for me to give absolutes because every deal is different now. Everything is so different. No one person's record deal has the same terms as the next person's record deal. Some artists have a 50-50 deal where they split the sales and revenue with the record label 50-50. Some of them are 80-20. Some of them are 90-10. Some of them are 95-5. It all just depends on what the deal is on both sides. Whether you're an artist, depends on what your record deal is, what your split is, what your points are with the record label. If you're a songwriter, it depends on what kind of publishing deal you have. Do you have a co-publishing deal where you're sharing the publishing dollars with the publishing company, or are you a staff songwriter that's getting paid and they get 100% of your publishing, you get to keep 100% of your writer side, but they get 100% of your publisher side, plus they own all of the masters to any of the demos that you go and you make and you create. So I know that's vague, and I don't mean for it to be vague, but it really it all is dependent on the person. Like I wrote a song a few years ago with two other people, so it was a three-way. I was signed to a publisher. The other co-writer was signed to a publisher. But we got the song cut, and when the money started coming in, it was very difficult to decide where it went because the third writer had an investor who had a certain percentage of their publishing. He had a co-publishing deal with one publisher that had a certain percent, and then a co-publishing deal with another publishing company that had the other percentage. So there were 5 publishers involved with 3 songwriters. That can get very, very difficult to navigate your way through. Sorry, we broke up on Instagram there for a little bit, but we're back now. So I hope that answers your questions. I really do. I'm not trying to be vague, but it's very difficult those are very difficult kind of questions to answer. If you've got something in specific that you want to know, then ask me and I'll be as specific as humanly possible. Josh says, thanks for taking my questions. I enjoy your YouTube podcast. Found out about you when you interviewed Ray Scott. Oh, awesome. God, I love Ray Scott, man. I do. Ray and I have been friends for a while, but we had not really, I guess we were more of acquaintances, really. And then I sent him a message and I was like, dude, you got to come do the podcast. I want to talk to you about your new record. And I got to tell you, there's no finer human on the face of the planet than Ray Scott. His new record is out now. Nowhere near done. Highly recommend. Highly recommend that you go check it out. If you want to support independent artists and you like good, great, amazing country music, Ray Scott's for you. There are a lot of those guys out there. So, speaking musically, there is no shortage of independent artists out there to support. Male, female, no shortage whatsoever. I encourage people to do the best that you can to find those. Okay, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Jesus. I don't know if y'all are hearing that. It bugs me every time that thing goes off. Do the research yourself and really find the people that you want to support. You don't have to give your money to all of the major artists. There is more out there. There's more available. Now, it's not going to jump up and slap you in the face through your radio, but I got into an argument with some people last week. Why are you letting radio dictate to you what's relevant? Radio wouldn't know great music if it literally slapped them in the face. They're not in the business of finding and promoting great music. They're in the business of finding and playing what they're paid to play. And if your record label isn't sending that station's program director and their wife and their kids on some cruise somewhere, or flying them out to here or flying them there, then your record's not going to get played, and you're not going to hear it. As the average ordinary fan, you're not going to hear it. It doesn't mean that it's not relevant. It just means you're going to have to go find it on your own. I get on fans all the time. Fans don't do their part. I hear it all the time. Well, radio only plays this and radio only plays that. Well, it's your fucking fault. You're allowing radio to be the gateway. You're allowing them to be the gatekeeper between what you want to hear. Go research it. Good. Do you realize the power that you hold in your hand? The technology, the ability that is in your phone that you hold in your hand right now has more power than all of the computing that it took to send the men to the moon. Literally. Like by 12 times, I think it is. There's 12 times more technology in your iPhone than what it took to put a man on the moon. But yet we still let some idiot at, 101.5, today's hottest country. We let that yo-yo tell us what's good and what's not good. Turn him off. Radio's over. They're all going bankrupt. iHeartRadio, CBS, Cumulus, they're all going bankrupt. Their radio properties are going bankrupt and have been for 5 years. They owe so much money that they're not allowed to fail. Because if they fail, it's going to hurt a lot of people in a lot of big ways that people don't want hurt. So they keep getting able to refinance. They file Chapter 13 or whatever it is, and they refinance and they reorganize, and they're allowed to continue. Meanwhile, they do the same thing over and over and over again. They don't change the way they do business. Radio thrived when it had competition, before deregulation. Now, I'm not a big regulation fan. I don't like regulation, but I will tell you, I was there. I was in the radio business at the time it was happening. When deregulation came along and it allowed multi-corporate radio to own as many stations as they wanted in one market, you lost competition. I was there. I remember I went, I think we moved 6 times to 6 different radio stations trying to get the hell away from Clear Channel. They bought in every single place that I went to. Went to an AM/FM station, they bought AM/FM. Went to Capstar, they bought Capstar. Went to Premier Radio Networks, they bought Premier Radio Networks. And you've now got 3, basically 3, maybe you could say 4, but let's say 3 major corporations that own every radio station in the country that matters. Then you've got the big problem. There are some independently owned radio stations, but they want so badly to be like the corporate-owned stations that they play the exact same things that the corporate stations play because they don't want to seem and come off like mom and pop. They want to look and feel like the big guys, so they all follow what the big guys do. So meanwhile, there's no creativity on radio. There's no competition. There is no discovery of new artists. I used to always laugh back when I used to go visit Arkansas, where I'm from. I used to, and I love, I had some good years at Kiss and 96 FM in Little Rock. I really did. I love those people. Chad Heritage, Ken Wall, a lot of great people. Bob Robbins. I worked with Bob for 2 years every morning. Love those guys. But years later, living in Nashville, I knew all these artists and I was writing with them and I knew what singles they had out on the radio and what was coming. I would go home to visit and as soon as I could, not far outside of round about Forest City is where you can pick Kissing Up. And I would always tune in 95.7 to see what they were doing. And inevitably they would come on and they'd say, oh, here's a brand new single. It just came out from so-and-so artist. I'm like, we've been listening to that for 6 months over here. But that's the way that radio works. You guys don't hear it. When you think it's new, it's been out forever somewhere else. So anyway, I got off on a tangent there. Sorry about that. You get me talking about radio, and I can go for hours and hours and hours, literally. Shane Stevens Band. Just tuning in. I will catch up. Good to have you here, man. Talking about good music. If you guys want some really good music, go check out Shane Stevens Band's new record, Hillbilly Bar. It's available everywhere you buy music. You can stream it. I produced it. It's killer. Rich says, I get sick of hearing the same songs played over and over again ad nauseum. I have to turn it off. I'd rather write my own songs. Man, you are the majority. That's why they're going bankrupt. That's why radio's going bankrupt. I mean, it's literally, you take Clear Channel, for example, they are basically now a satellite radio network. I mean, you tune into a Clear Channel station here in Nashville, and it's the same station. You just find another Clear Channel station when you leave this coverage area and enter the next one, and it's the same thing going on. It's not local anymore. Very little local personalities. They took local out of it. I'll never forget. I was at a radio station in Yuma, Arizona, KTTI, and I did the morning show there. I was the program director for the radio station. I did the morning show. I'll never forget when we got an email that told us we were having a conference call. All of the program directors in different regions were having a conference call. And I'll never forget getting on that conference call, and that's when they introduced us to what's called collective contesting. What that basically means is that every radio station up to that point, we had a budget, a local budget for car giveaways and promotions and different things like that we had a budget for prize giveaways and all that kind of stuff. Well, Clear Channel came up with this bright idea that what we're going to do is take your budget away. From every local station, we were going to take your budget, we were going to combine them, and we were going to offer bigger prizes. We're going to pay your bills for a year. We're going to buy $1 million house or, a trip around the world, all of these other things. So we're by the way, we're taking your budget. You will have zero local budget other than what you can do in trade. We're going to take your entire budget. We're going to combine it with every other country radio station in the country, and we're going to give away these huge prizes. It's going to be awesome. And then we're like, okay, well, what happens? What about winners? Well, here's the really great part. Instead of your local phone number, we're going to give you a 1-800 number for people to call when you do contests. And what's going to happen is that we're going to run this same contest at every country radio station around the country. And they'll call the 1-800 number, and if they're caller number 95 or caller number 101 or whatever it's going to be, it might be Deb. Well, no matter where Deb lives, Deb's going to spend the next day doing liners going, hey, this is Deb, and I just won my bills paid for a year from 95.1 KTTI in Yuma. Meanwhile, this bitch lives in Piedmont, North Dakota. So they would have these winners do all of these liners for all of these local radio stations saying that they lived in that area when they didn't. That, my friends, is called collective contesting. That was the beginning of the end, and that's when I knew I had to run. So I left radio in 1999 and never looked back. I have to say, though, I enjoyed those days. The podcast, even doing this, it feeds a little bit of that person in me that I always enjoyed, being my days on radio. But like I said, it's been 20 years ago. I still have some great friends in radio. But it is slanted. To have spent the last 20 years on the other side of the business, it was like, okay, you spent a long time playing people's songs on the radio, then you flipped the script and I went and I wrote the songs that they played on the radio. I will tell you, it is way more profitable on this side of the business than it was on the other side of the business. But it's slanted and it's not fair. I remember being in those situations. I remember having friends that were up-and-coming artists when I was in radio and not being able to play their records, knowing that they were great and they were amazing and they were better than 70% of what we were playing. But I wasn't allowed to play them. Corporate radio, CBS, Cumulus, iHeartRadio, they have corporate mandates that will not allow them to play independent artists. They play major label artists only. by corporate mandate. If a program director at one of those iHeartRadio, Clear Channel, Cumulus stations, if they play independent artists that are not on a major label, they will lose their job. So for any of you artists out there that, why won't they play? They can't. They will lose their job if they play your record. It doesn't mean that they don't like your record or they don't think you're good. They can't. That is a corporate mandate. Do not play independent artists. Period. End of story. So, don't take it personal a lot of times when you see that, because it's not you. It's what you stand for. It's that you're not on a major label. The radio station, in their mind, I'm telling you from their angle, their point of view, they think that because you're an independent artist that you're not good enough to be on a major label, therefore nobody wants to hear you. Now, we all know that's not true. We know that's not true at all. But that's what they think. They think that their listeners want to listen to the same 25 artists and same 40 songs over and over and over and over again. And they've thought that for many years. They thought that way all the way up here when they were making money. And then they've thought it and they've ridden that mindset all the way down into bankruptcy multiple times. And they will not change. Record labels are the same way. They sit around and think pretty much the same way that the radio stations do because they won't change either. Meanwhile, that's how you wind up now with artists who are not signed to major labels, who aren't signed to any record label, that are selling a shit ton of records and are playing to sold out shows. Now, they may not be playing arenas, but they're selling out shows at 500 people, 600 people, 700 people. Some of them are even out there selling out 10,000 seat venues, and they don't get radio airplay. To me, those are the artists that you should be looking for, that you should be supporting. Look for those artists. Go out and find them. Sometimes they're not easy to find, but do your due diligence. If you're sick and tired of allowing radio to be the gateway and the gatekeeper of what's relevant and what you're allowed to listen to and not, nobody's a prisoner here. You're not a prisoner. You're not locked away. You're not spoon-fed what you can only listen to these 20 artists. It just means that you've got to open your mind a little bit and go out and find them for yourself. Nothing would make me happier than if nobody ever listened to the radio again. Especially Bobby Bones. God damn, I can't stand that guy. He was a little Weasley-ass kid when I was at Kissin' in Little Rock. I didn't like him then. I don't like him now. I've never seen, I take that back. There is one other person that I know that loves himself as much as Bobby Bones loves himself. I'm almost positive that Bobby, I think Bobby has pictures of Ryan Seacrest that he jacks off to. Sorry if that's too much for some of you. I just think it's truth. I've never seen somebody love themselves more than he does. Great guy. I'm sure he's a great guy, great human being, but he's you know how some people just bug you and rub you the wrong way? He's one of them. I'm trying to see if you guys have any more comments. I keep forgetting about you people down here on Instagram. Let me see if anybody, let me hold you guys up here and see if anybody has any questions. Nope. Everybody's joining. Everybody's just, so you're just having fun watching. Okay. I see how it is. Bunch of voyeurs out there. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or any of those places, feel free. You can leave a comment. It'll show up here. Again, most of everybody on YouTube tonight. But I'm probably about getting ready to get out of your hair. I just wanted to number one, like I said, I wanted to test out some of the new equipment and see how that was going to go. A little frustrating up front. I will admit it. But I think I'm going to like it. When I get used to it, I'm going to like it a little bit better than what I do right now. Which that's kind of the same thing for everything, but we'll see. Any last minute thoughts? I don't see any. Again, we're going to start doing this more regularly. Probably more than likely going to be a Monday night or Tuesday night thing when we do this. But just keep following me on social media. I'll let you know when we're going to do these. Everybody stay safe. Wash your hands. Have good hygiene. Jesus Christ, people. Not the end of the world. We will make it through all this. I promise you there's going to be enough toilet paper. I don't think we're going to have a major toilet paper crisis. Wash your hands. If you don't have hand sanitizer, it's better with warm water and soap. Watch Dr. Fauci. He'll tell you. I'm joking, but I'm really not joking. It's amazing to me that we have to remind people to wash their hands. It really is. I know, Shane, I should not have probably said that, but I said it. Fuck it, I don't care. Jessica, thank you so much for being here. Joshua Barley, Philip David Harris, Haley, Heather, thank you for your question. Rich, thank you so much for being here. Shane, of course, my buddy Kevin Brown, Luke M. Tech, Podcastage, thank you so much, Bandry, for hanging out and being around. I don't know if you're still there. Thank you for the $10 super chat. You rock, my man. Samantha. Everybody else for hanging out. Anyway, guys, we will probably go ahead and wrap it up. But like I said, I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate you hanging with me on a Friday night. And this was impromptu. I really wasn't prepared, but I just wanted to visit with you guys more than anything. With all this is going on with the virus, I just wanted to check in with everybody, make sure everybody was doing well, and let's keep our spirits up. Pray for our loved ones. Keep everybody in their hearts and in their minds. And I will talk with you guys again soon. Don't forget, the podcast is now every Tuesday and Friday, so it's available everywhere you get your podcast. Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, radio.com. Everywhere. You can catch the video versions on YouTube. Although I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how much longer I'm going to do the video versions for YouTube. Because it's kind of weird. It's kind of funny. The whole YouTube thing is weird to me. I mean, there's over 200,000 people that listen to the podcast on audio version and like 100 that watch the video version. And it's a lot of work to put into the video version. And it requires a lot of time on my part when I could just put more into the audio part of it. So I'm kind of kicking that idea back and forth. I don't know. We may stop doing the YouTube thing altogether. Other than these live things, we'll do live things like this. And we'll see where it goes. But the Steve Freeman podcast every Tuesday and Friday. New episodes they upload about 7 a.m. Central Standard Time every Tuesday and Friday. Be sure, if you haven't already, go over to, especially if you're on an iPhone, if you're on Apple, go over to iTunes and leave a written review. Leave us 5 stars, leave a written review. We're in Apple's top 200 podcasts, which is freaking unbelievable and awesome. The more reviews we get, the higher it helps keep us there. So it's all about listener count, download count, stream count, mixed with the ratings and the reviews. So if you haven't done that, please do me a favor. Go over to iTunes or Apple Podcast and leave us 5 stars and leave us a written review. Anyway, it has been so cool being with you guys. Please enjoy your weekend. Have an amazing weekend. Love and take care of each other. Be kind to one another. And ladies and gentlemen, for the love of all that is holy, wash your hands, okay? Please. Please. I'll see you guys later.